What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven here with your afternoon snap, and today we're going to take a look at two of my favorite games from this season's Climb Up to Infinite. I've been playing a bunch with Hazmat Silver Surfer, as I've showcased in some of my previous content over the weekend, and these are just two fun high rolls from my climb. This game I thought was particularly fun because I haven't really revealed any cards to my opponent before the end of the game. I've played Magik and Sera, but both of those cards are pretty generic, and then all of my other cards I've played into Dark Dimension, so my opponent really doesn't know what's going on, though they could have a pretty decent idea. This deck is really popular right now, but they won't know exactly. And I felt pretty confident doing this because the bounce deck that my opponent is playing isn't one that typically plays Goliath, so I'm not gonna have to play around that like I did in my previous video. That's a fun one if you want to check that out. Didn't put out too much content over the weekend, was a little busy, a little bit of a sore throat, but I just wanted to highlight the games that got me to Infinite and the deck that got me to Infinite a little bit further. So like I said, these are two big high rolls. We've got the Wong, we've got the Mystique, and then we are going to have the Hazmat before we flip over that Odin. So Hazmat is going to trigger 4 times, 5 times with this Odin plus the original trigger. So everything on my opponent's board is going to get -20, which will lend to a pretty big high roll there. So we win by about 70 points in every single location. And this game is looking like a similarly big high roll. We get to Mystique our Wong and then play a Jin this turn, so that way we'll be able to play Silver Surfer plus Absorbing Man even though it's only a 6-turn game. And we'll also throw Brood over into Savage Land, so we'll have a bunch of triggers to spread around here. I did briefly consider throwing a Jin into this Wong Mystique location. Maybe we could use the extra energy and play a bunch of cards next turn, but we're not really gonna need to. There's not that much space left on the board with the Jins and the Raptors and the Broods as it is. So this was my play, and does not actually work out for me. My opponent is going to Galactus me, which I was definitely not expecting, but it's fine. As long as my opponent doesn't have Goliath, and this is a opponents don't have Goliath video, right? This is all about the high rolls. My opponent is definitely going to have priority going into the final turn though, Nimrod plus Galactus, and then we only play Mystique this turn. So we don't have that much power just yet. But we're gonna have the ability to make a bunch of power. Even without being able to play Absorbing Man, we're still gonna play Ironheart plus Silver Surfer, which is a pretty decent amount of power. Actually doesn't matter which order you play Ironheart plus Silver Surfer in, which is kind of interesting, but all my opponent throws down on the final turn is a pair of Jins. That's not quite gonna cut it. I'm not sure if it was a bot or what, but either way, this was one of the best games that I had, pretty close to Infinite. I don't think bots typically play Galactus though. I would be surprised if this was a bot, but either way, we're gonna get to full combo here with Silver Surfer, so I wanted to showcase that as well. But for today, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.